API, AAPI doctors from Madhya Pradesh. There's a meeting, and we're talking about TB elimination. So, if I'm not able to join in completely, you may see me in and out. Yeah.
Hi, Manoj. Good evening. How are you? Good morning. Good to see you.
Yes. Good evening. Good morning to you.
So wonderful and welcome, DTOs. Once again, QICs, please make your calls on a wonderful Friday evening. And today, we have a very, very interesting topic. And we are actually starting a series of sessions which are on adaptive leadership. Now, this is away from the TV program. This is away from the normal grind of your daily work. These are wonderful discussions which involve some kind of studies, lot of your personal lifetime experiences, and things which we know, but we forget. Things which we tell our children to practice, but we forget to implement them ourselves. So we shall be putting focus in those directions. I would like to begin the session with a statement that the only constant in this world is change. बदलो नहीं तो बदल दिए जाओगे. So we need to keep adapting. The situation around us is changing. The geopolitical world order is changing. You must be reading newspapers, the way our country is now arriving on the world order. Everything is changing. The technology is changing. The TB protocol is changing. How we used to handle disease 20 years ago and how we are diagnosing now is changing. The staff that we have is more young, with larger expectations in life. They are changing. The generation with whom, the generation that you are leading right now, that you have the responsibility to lead, is different, is changing. We cannot change them. We cannot change the environment. We cannot change these circumstances. All we can do is change or adapt to the changing situations ourselves. Like, if the sun is shining brightly outside and you have a problem with that, you don't stand looking up at the sun, cursing it. Instead, you open your umbrella, adapt to the sun and the sun shining brightly, and move on with your business. Like this and many other things today, we are very fortunate to have our faculty, Ms. Jaya, to lead us and to introduce us to this series of sessions. And as I promised, that we will be raising many questions about your staff not cooperating, how to handle an experienced staff. As a DTO, are you supposed to know everything? As a DTO, as a leader, are you supposed to be adept at knowing all the technology? Nobody can. But yet, you have to lead. But yet, you have to demand work. You have to keep the team motivated. How do we adapt to these changes which are happening in the technological world, which are happening in the environment, which are happening right in our homes with our teenage children? So I take great pleasure in inviting the faculty and asking Dr. Manoj before he leaves us. Dr. Manoj, if you may like to make any opening remarks before we lose you, or I can invite you in between as is convenient. Yeah, Manoj, I can see you.
No, so welcome DTOs. As Commodore Raman said, change is the new constant. and how you as DTOs adapt to that is going to be critical. I just want to put it into perspective of where we are going with all these conversations. All this time you have learned, and I have learned, on how to be a good doctor. We know how to manage a patient when a patient is coming in with a fever and a cough, and a sputum that has blood in it. However, have we ever been trained on how to manage a conflict or in a workplace when two TBHVs are at each other's throat? Have we been trained on how to be a leader when a senior person comes and tells you to do things which are not something that you think is right? How do you communicate? How do you do those things? And so what we're talking about now is those skill sets of a leader and a manager, and how does one do those better? So over to you, Ms. Jaya, and we'll talk more. But thank you so much. And I'll be in and out, as I said.
Thank you, Manoj.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
so much.
Thank you so much.
At the same time, I also welcome Dr. Ravi Chandran, our faculty from NTI, who would be also showcasing and sharing his experiences and the way he sees adaptation and changes as Ms. Jaya takes us on this wonderful journey. Over to you, Ms. Jaya.
Thank you so much, Commodore Raman and Dr. Manoj. I really would have roped you in after a few slides, but I'm going to take it from you that I have your blessings to go ahead and talk about the story that you have shared with us. Really, like Raman sir has mentioned, adaptive leadership is all about knowing that change is going to be a reality, that we have to constantly be adapting, that we live in a complex environment. As we do that, our situational challenges are going to be also complex and probably have to be categorized. As we understood the different types of leadership and management processes in the last classes, we also had a very brief glimpse of what is adaptive leadership. And today, really, we are going to dive deep a little bit more. In the first half, we'll be talking about what is adaptive leadership all about. And in the second half, we'll be really looking at the behavioral aspects of a leader, how an adaptive leader becomes sensitive to the challenges as well as the dynamics of the group and becomes an able adaptive leader. So if we really get the grasp of it, Dr. Manoj, this looking inward is something that you always talk about. So I'd really like you to just kickstart the discussion with that one slide that we had already put in our presentation. But I'd request that slide to be shown first so that we can let you go, sir. That one is the story that you have told us about how we moved from, control to elimination.
Yeah.
So I'd really like you to talk about that, sir. Can we quickly see that?
Anshu, what Jaya was talking about is that snaking slide on which...
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That is a snaking slide.
Absolutely. So thank you, Ms. Jaya.
Over to you,
and
sir.
Commodore Raman. So DTOs, you may remember that our program wasn't not called NTEP. It was RNTCP, Revised National TB Control Program. And we all thought that that was okay. However, things have changed. And the change was from going from a control thought process to an elimination thought process. So we were in pre-COVID 2019 at the Joint Monitoring Mission. It was at the hotel room where about 150 scholars, researchers, workers, TB experts in the world had gotten together at the Joint Monitoring Mission, as well as over 200-300 people from the government and other dignitaries were all together discussing what we should do. And in that conversation, one of the things that I brought up and which our team had really thought about was the concept that we are no longer a control program, and rather should we be talking about elimination. And the suggestion was that we should really call it the National TB Elimination Program, NTEP, and that we should be changing that whole process of thinking as control to elimination. And sure enough, 6 to 9 months later, that was taken up. And so I put you in a setting, in a place where our entire program, everything from what we do to the name, has evolved. Evolution is the name of the game. And if we as doctors, as DTOs, do not evolve, we do not make shape of the time and the place and the setting that are changing, we will become extinct. And so
thank you.
Evolve or become extinct, and we choose evolve. So over to you, Ms. Jaya.
Thank you so much. You just spot on, got me into the discussions. And I wanted to bring us back to the story of how we really evolve and how evolution has taught us how to adapt. You know, the different beaks that you see in this picture, the beaks have changed shape, adapting to the local environment. And if this change happened, it didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen in like the TB program from 1962 to 2023 as we stand, but it happened over millions of years, over a geological time scale. But what have we really picked up? We've picked up something that as we move on and understand what is the real story here, what is the story of evolution from which we can learn, we as adaptive leaders can borrow from the evolutionary theory, explain the change, and really bring forth those lessons for us in our day-to-day functioning. And at this moment, what better opportunity than actually hearing the story of experience. So if I really look at what is this evolutionary theory really telling us, I would go to the next slide and see where is the story going to come from? Not from me, not from an academic perspective, but really that if we don't adapt, we shall perish. I'd really invite Dr. Hema Bindu, who was a DTO from our batch 4 from Hanumakunda, Telangana. She is such a masterpiece example of someone who had just 1.5 months through our PMEC course. And she caught on from day one. She was bang on the story. She took it on. She just led the story, led the team. And I want to hear from you, ma'am. How did you do it? How did you create this magic? What was the adaptive leadership that you demonstrated? Over to you, ma'am. The floor is yours.
Yes. A very good evening to one and all who are present over there at City and all the DTOs of Batch 6. I am Dr. Hema Bindu, DTO Hanampunda. Actually, as you were introducing, I was very new into the program. I am one of the youngest DTOs in my state. Within joining as a DTO, the first few calls I got is from one of our QICs, Dr. Sisita, regarding the ongoing course. And I was introduced to this PDSA cycle as well. So during our PDSA cycle, we had a very less time. The cycles of other districts have already started. We were left with just 6 weeks of time. So actually, as a new DTO, first I had to adapt to my chair, to my position as a DTO. So what I best thought is not to boss around as a DTO, but to work as one among them and lead them in the right way, guide them to the right goals and targets. That's what I did initially. We had jotted down what are the gaps in our program, what are the processes to be adapted to fill up the gaps, how do we do that, and what are the, what are the strengths and deficits of my staff, I have to go through that and encourage them and motivate them uh, to do the PDSA cycle in a right way and review them in a phased, timely manner and see that our goals are achieved. That's what I did as a newest member in the family.
Wow. Wow. What you could do in 1.5 months was step back and learn from your team. As you said, I think so beautifully mentioned that your adaptation and your willingness to take the team along as one made it possible. Surely all of us as DTOs know that we alone can't achieve this very large transformative goal that has been put before us. Thank you so much, Dr. Himabindu. This is something so marvelous. And I always say, if we don't adapt, we perish. And if we don't tune up to the realities of today, adapt to the changing technologies and needs of our stakeholder being the community that we serve, every citizen whom we want to be seeing them healthy and without TB. For us, the two classical examples are, Nokia. Everyone remembers this picture, the Nokia, the hand phone, some of them with this projecting antenna out. Long gone, dead and gone. Same way, this Kodak film with film roll that we had to put, this was something that we always had it with us. But today, why am I showing these two pictures that if we don't adapt, we perish? Even best of the companies have died. Dr. Himabindu, do you agree with this notion that if we don't adapt, we are going to perish?
Absolutely, Dr. Jaya. Even I can give an example.
Yeah.
Even before the introduction of Nikshay, the portal what we are working, the main important thing for TB. Before that, everything was manual, right? We used to write a long record, registers and everything. But now with the introduction of Nikshay, each and every staff has to learn the online thing, the web portal thing regarding Nikshay, able to operate it in their own mobile handsets or tabs or whatever. That is an adaptation done by all our staff and most of the all of the DTOs, right? That is also an example which we are working on. The TB
superb. Thank you very much. Commodore Raman, bang on the example that we were thinking about talking and here.
Absolutely, Dr. Jaya, Ms. Jaya, absolutely, Dr. Himabindu. You have given such a wonderful example that Nikshay has been a change. And as normal, as usual, there is resistance to change. It was not easy for DTOs and the staff to accept a computer, to accept a software, to actually see a mirror that, how we are progressing. But now we have DTOs who are using filters, who are using the diagnostic tools, who are making the graphs and using Nikshay to its ultimate objectivity. And DTOs, here is an open offer. If any of your team members wants to understand the functionality of Nikshay better, we have amongst us, that is, we have been through the entire country, so many wonderful DEOs and STS who have got such wonderful control over Nikshay. If you want us to arrange a special class for any of your staff, we'll be most happy to do it. How to exploit the real fine facilities of Nikshay. Over to you, Jaya ma'am.
Thank you, Raman sir. Thank you, Himabindu ma'am. This is so wonderful. Let's move on and see what we heard this little story. So I'm just going to move on and say why at all I wanted to bring this evolution story, the story of survival of the fittest or perish if you're not the fittest. I want to bring a consonance to the story that Dr. Manoj Jain shared. This conversation that he had in the Joint Committee meeting had happened in 2009. And it is no coincidence that this adaptive leadership definition came from the University of Harvard, which I'll show in the next slide. The practice of mobilizing people to tackle tough challenges and thrive came from Professor Linsky and Professor Heifetz. And just around the time when India made its commitment that we are going to move from control to elimination, when India moved from 2030 target to a 2025 India target, something that everybody thought is not going to be so easy to achieve. We knew that the challenges are going to be tough, the resources are going to be hard to come, but we have to thrive because we have to mobilize the people. And it is here that we bring in the power of adaptive leadership and take the lessons that we can draw on from here. Let's go ahead and see what else can we take on. What else? The successful adaptive change really builds on the past. We didn't dump our NTCP because we moved to NTEP, did we? No. We really learned this lesson from how the marine mammals moved from being aquatic to becoming somewhat nearby the land mass, developing slight limb-like structures, and going ahead, the limbs developed and they shed their fins. They adapted to living on land. And this is how the evolution took place. Evolution does not mean that we dump these characteristics, but we build on it. And just to share with everybody, we as human beings have 99% of our genome coming from the chimpanzees. And 23 pairs of chromosomes that we have in our body, 22 of them match with the rats. So we are no different from those other mammals. But in this adaptation as human beings, we have evolved a mind, a capacity to think, a capacity to deliver much more than how other beings have been able to do so. So this is a classical example that if we find that missing link, what is this intermittent adaptation that we need to look at? We will really draw beautiful lessons ahead. So let's move on and see whether this adaptation can be individual or whether it is organizational. At this point, experimentation, we know, try, test, does not work, dump. Try, test, works, adapt. Now, this is something that we keep on doing in our lives. Dr. Ravichandra, I'd really like to invite you here at this point. You, as a national training institution, have done a marvelous job of training hundreds and hundreds of officers around the country. Can I invite you to share your experience of organizational adaptation that happened through experimentation? Over to you, sir.
Yeah. Yes, we had presentations and trainings that was happening in NTI for a quite long time, and all the faculty and officers of NTEP were trained here. But COVID gave us a big challenge. So we could not have physical trainings during the entire period of COVID. And the LTs and many of the program officers, they were not having any opportunity to learn. There were many people who were coming in and there was a need for training. At that point of time, the LPA training and liquid culture training, we adopted virtual training methods to train the laboratory technicians in these LPA and liquid culture. So that was a huge success because we could not had a physical meeting. They were not left dry without any training. And the virtual method of training, we had the videos and graphical things to show them. And that was, a success story for NTI during the COVID times, madam. So I feel it is an adoption when there was a disaster and there was no chance for a physical meeting, physical training.
So true, sir. But what my question is this something that we just kind of did it for the moment? Or we say now we know these technologies are going to be great and digital means of teaching, learning can be imbibed by all of us. So what is your take on that, sir? This adaptation that you had momentarily built as a temporal solution to a need at that time, how is it now institutionally, sir?
Yeah, actually during COVID time, that was the only way that we could communicate and we could see to it that the program people learn. Of course, now we have opportunities for physical meetings, physical training. Physical trainings are going on continuously. But these virtual methods that were built during the COVID time are being utilized even now for updation of trainings. Like if there is any short updation needed to the field, there is no need that the people has to travel all the way for sensitization on some of the new updates. So these are being done through virtual method. And if there is a long meeting, first time they are being inducted into the program, they are being called here for physical meeting. So trainings are happening both physical as well as virtual. COVID gave us an opportunity to utilize the virtual means of training and updating people in the field about the recent updates and technologies, madam.
Thank you
So
so
that
much.
remains.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much, sir.
Because
This was the missing link. The missing link that you don't dump everything of the past. When you adopt, you also take the lessons and take the strengths of the past and then imbibe the new. Thank you so much. Shall we move on? I want us all to take a look at this picture here. This is a picture on diversity and distributive leadership. Ma'am, Himabandhu ma'am, what can you see? Ravi Chandra sir, what can you see? Can you all quickly just give us a glimpse of what's this we are seeing here in this picture?
So if I okay, Hima ma'am is there. Hima ma'am, this is the last request, and then we will thank you also because I know you have to leave. So
No
if you can,
No
yes, what do you
problem.
see on the picture?
I see different colors of flowers, of leaves, tiger, dolphin,
Oh,
swan, red flowers, pink flowers, yellow.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
there is also an astronaut, madam. There is also an astronaut.
Yeah, there's an astronaut. Yes.
Anshu, show the astronaut in the center. Can you see top center?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we can see your mouse. Yes, absolutely. There's an astronaut also there.
Yeah, beautiful. So, what does this really represent? Why should we see this picture here from distributive leadership or diversity, learning about adaptation? I think the first recognition that we have. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Did you say something, ma'am?
Okay, I think Hima Bindu ma'am wants to leave also.
Sure, sure.
I'll utilize this interruption to thank her. Ma'am, thank you so much. Such a pleasure to have interacted with you once again. And
my pleasure. It's my pleasure to be with you all again, and I'll be with you all whenever possible. Actually, I am in the middle of another meeting, which is
super,
going
ma'am.
on.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Have a nice session, everyone. This is a very good opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I would really like to invite this for us to look at this diversity. Invite Dr. Mahesh. Dr. Mahesh.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good evening, ma'am.
Sir, ये जो पिक्चर डाइवर्सिटी दिखा रहा है, हम अपने टीम के बारे में बताएं ना, किस तरीके से हमारा टीम है.
Ma'am, जैसे as we can see in this picture, like there are in this pictures from different animals or the different like members of the nature are shown. Like the same, our team is also a diverse team from members who are well qualified, like doctors, who have done just like schooling education with their different skill sets and different background, different experience.
Absolutely, absolutely. As DTOs, you have to deal with all these people to make true your goal and purpose. How do you motivate your teams? How?
Ma'am, to motivate the teams, we have to give them instructions, formal meetings at regular intervals, then asking their problems and possible solutions also, because when they come with problems, they have some solutions also for that, because they are more oriented with the field and the people they work in, like ASHA workers or their supervisors, because they know their problems and also solutions also.
Superb,
And
sir.
felicitation of well-performing staff.
Superb, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Can we move on? As we adapt, we know that we have to face challenges and deregulate, re-regulate ourselves, rearrange our old DNA. We have to prepare ourselves to the new changes. And like Hima Bindu ma'am presented, that Niksha is something now today everybody uses, all the staff uses, we're all familiar. Technology, as I had shown, also is something that we have adapted. Today, if we don't understand something, we ask our colleagues, ye batao ye app kaise kaam karta hai? How do we prepare something? We are not shy of learning. And this is what we take as our guidance. Let's move forward. We have to understand that even when we are adapting, we have to overcome our own resistances, our own challenges. We have to be patient and we have to understand that they take time. Raman sir, क्या कोई change overnight हो जाता है?
Ma'am, thank you so much. I was writing this point, frankly, when you mentioned time, and I thought that, when I'll get an opportunity, I'll speak about it. I'll give you a very, very simple and relevant example.
Sir.
This course that we are doing for the DTOs, we are doing this course with you. I can teach PDSA to you in 3 hours, right? But we have extended it to 6 months so that we partake the information with you slowly. We interact with your team slowly. We handhold you. We take you on the path. We help you adapt to the tool, to the technology, to the new things that we'll be sharing with you, because we know it takes time. It is just not possible for any kind of evolution to happen overnight. We all have evolved with time. We have become personalities. We have developed ideas over time. So adaptation takes time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. That was so wonderfully put. Let's just move on and quickly look at what is this adaptive model that we're talking about. We're really talking about understanding the situation that we are in, whether our challenges that we face as a team leader, is it a technical challenge? Is it an adaptive challenge? Or is it both technical and adaptive challenge? And where we must garner these principles by looking inwards, and how we must motivate our team. Just like Dr. Mahesh mentioned to us, that it is not only how we identify the team's issues, but also how we motivate them and keep them going. Let's move ahead and take a look at what kind of a technical or an adaptive example. Can we have, is Dr. Avesh with us? Yes, Dr. Avesh, welcome, sir, welcome.
Good evening.
I look forward to listening from you an example of one of these three. Please, all yours, sir. Take an example each of it from your experience.
Good evening, Raman sir.
Good evening, Dr. Avesh. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. I'm fine. I first of all thanks Dr. Ravi sir and Dr. Hima ma'am, as they shared their experiences during their this thing and how they worked out. If you see that technical leadership in this, that whatever comes from the CTD or whatever comes from the state, the CTO or the DTO might just implement the same and tell the team as a leader to work on that issues. For example, I have joined just 4-5 months back as a CTO for Nasik Municipal Corporation. I saw that the Nikshe portal or the Nikshe app is working so well, and whole of the team was using it very well. But initially, as you shown the roadmap of Manoj sir showed the roadmap, उसमें उन्होंने इतना अच्छे से दिखाया कि हाउ द टीबी प्रोटोकॉल हैज मूव्ड एंड टिल टुडे हाउ इट इज वर्किंग. तो इन दिस इफ आई एक छोटा सा एग्जांपल शेयर करता हूं कि व्हेनेवर वी टेल दैट टू द TBHVs और टू द फील्ड पीपल, एज अ लीडर आई टेल दैट यू शुड डू द होम विजिट्स. ये जब मेरे को इनिशियली बोलता था तो थोड़ा सा मुश्किल जाता था, क्योंकि many use, still there is a social stigma of tuberculosis and people don't allow the TBHVs to visit for their home visits and they don't get the data. So in this, the adaptive leadership comes. Even if whatever the guidelines coming from the CTD or from the state, we have to utilize those guidelines. Just adaptive is the process in which we need to work out with the team. There comes few these things like what is the emotional need of the team, what is the change we should have in the team, or what will be the accountability of that change, and what will be the strategic planning we should do. In this home visits, I was the in charge for the whole COVID for Nasik city. And in those times also, if we see that as Jaya ma'am had showed the initial pic, that Nokia or the Kodak camera, in this Nokia didn't change, so they went away. Now the Nikshay, now each of our staff is so used to with the Nikshay app and they are working it very well. Similarly, the patients which are coming from private or public, they are very used to using the smartphones. So we have told the TBHVs, instead, if anyone doesn't allow you for the home visits, just we have told the private doctors as well as our public doctors also that give the concerned TBHVs number over there. They can share all the things that is he okay with the medicines? Is he getting all the services properly? If the DBTs and everything are going on properly in the accounts, or if there is any problems regarding the medicines and also, so they can just share it on their mobile itself. So we can get the accountability also of our TBHVs or of the staff also. They don't have to travel down and do the home visits personally over there. And we can see that the strategic planning which I have told them, so that is also seen, and they can also give the data ki so many patients have given the feedback and they are having all the, they are getting all the facilities and they are getting all the medicines, the routine follow-ups they have done, the routine x-rays or routine investigations they are doing it, so that all we can get with the adaptive change. So
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. This was wonderful. This was wonderful. In fact, here is an example of something in practice. So if we just move on, for want of time, sir, I'll just move ahead. We really have to understand the characteristics of these adaptive challenges. And sometimes they're all successful protocols. We had asked, somebody to come and talk to us, but you've already spoken. I'll just take 1 minute and request Dr. Chadda to just in 1 minute talk about this features or adaptive leadership elements. Sir, bilkul 1 minute wala, sir.
Thank you, madam. First of all, change is a reality. You started the conversation. Well, I feel, and what I learned from all this session so far is that adaptive leadership is all about facilitating the change happen seamlessly. We have to adopt to new products, new challenges, new technologies, changing needs and priorities while sustaining the old ones. You talked about rearranging DNA. So we started with DOTS Plus, but we sustained the basic DOTS program. There was a table, madam, where you showed that to adopt, we have to learn new skills. We have to transform. And the leadership is also about motivating our team, communicating very clearly to them what change is needed, facilitate understanding, mobilize resources, define the roles, which you said very rightly towards the end, implement and monitor. So this is what I think was a wonderful learning from your side.
Superb, sir. Superb.
Thank you.
And I will just take this opportunity and move ahead and invite
So in the meantime, while we have a look at who's going to be the next discussant, I would just like to appreciate a bit more. And Anshu, if I can request you to move back a slide on that adaptive, and yes, absolutely here. So DTOs, there are two kinds of challenges we are seeing. One is the technical challenge, and the other is the adaptive challenge. And there are few challenges which require both. You are supposed to learn the technical part of it also and the adaptive part of it also. Let me give you a situation. Now, if suppose you get a new mobile, right? You are moving from, say, Android phone to a Apple phone. It is easy because it is just an adaptation to the technology. For example, you are now going to adapt or adopt a new TB protocol. It is again very simple to adapt to this kind of change. Well, you buy a new car, you graduate from a manual gear car to an automatic gear car to an electric vehicle. You are once again adapting to the technology. Now, this is easier. If you look at the slide, you see that the technical challenges are very clear, the solutions are very clear, the authority is also very clear. In fact, so much so that even your staff is adapting to the technical challenge. Whether it is a new protocol or anything new, a new technology, new telephone, new mobile, even our team, our staff is adapting. But the difference lies in where the situation is changing, where the environment is changing, which is not technical. For example, Dr. Avesh, and thank you so much, Dr. Avesh. You brought out such a wonderful thing, and I'm, actually taking a leaf from what you mentioned. It was difficult for us to convince Ashas for home visit. It may be very difficult to tell an STLS that, you are an LT first. If you don't have sufficient staff, please go down and do that job, fill in the blank. Well, it is very probably difficult to deal with a contractual staff, which is probably selfish. Where is my pay? Give me my pay, give me my perks, and then only I will deliver. But we as the DTO, we as the leaders who are accountable, who are responsible, who have the authority, we have no option but to get the job done. Now, this puts us in a very, very difficult situation. And that is where the adaptive leadership comes into being. And that is what makes it difficult. And that is what I was trying to highlight, that adapting to a technology is very easy. But adapting to a changing situation, changing environment, changing challenges is what is more difficult. We will develop, we will grow more into this, and not that we are going to leave it here. We will, of course, learn how to adapt. So we can move ahead, please. Next. And is Dr. Jaya ma'am joined us back?
Yeah. I'm back.
Okay. Go ahead, ma'am.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir. In fact, what you have done is I had some few poll questions that I had planned to ask, and you have just bang on taken us, driven through it. So you mentioned about this, and I know as a poll question, all you need to do is to just see it in your own devices and respond quickly, whether it's a technical challenge, is it an adaptive challenge, is it both technical and adaptive? The statement is TB patients are highly stigmatized, especially women.
Okay, so
Thank
there is
you.
a
Can we end
involved.
There's no right and wrong answer. There is no right and wrong answer, and we will not
Absolutely
discuss it. We'll just move ahead and absorb this as we move along, sir. So we'll go on to the next question.
Absolutely. The still polling is happening.
Yeah. We've had pretty much a good response, sir, in this. Most people have said it's an adaptive challenge, and some people believe it's both technical and adaptive, which is perfectly fine.
Absolutely. So the next question on the poll is going to be, healthcare workers are not trained on rapid TB diagnostic tool. So we have to train them. So what kind of a challenge is this? Oh, I must congratulate you, Jaya ma'am. You have got a
Yes,
wonderful set of details. They are actually comprehending absolutely very nicely. And
absolutely. और जिन्होंने बोथ बोला है ना सर, उनको ये भी पता है कि कुछ लोग बोलते हैं ये मेरा काम थोड़ी ना है, मैं तो
absolutely,
नहीं करूंगा,
yes.
मेरे
Though
को
it
ऊपर
is
क्यों ऐसा नया काम थमा रहे हो? So these are the
yes,
resistance elements that they have identified. So
you are
beautiful.
on the dot, ma'am. Like
Let's go
if
on
I,
to the next one, sir.
yeah, please go on to the next one. Labs are slow at running the PCR test for COVID-19. So we have to make them how to become faster. Okay. There may be a technology, there may be a procedure, there may be an obstacle created by man, there may be an obstacle created by the HR.
Bang
It could
on,
be
bang on. Beautiful.
absolutely. And I think the DTOs are understanding
Enjoying this, sir. They're enjoying this poll.
absolutely. And once again, DTOs, we have no clue who is giving what option. We can only see the numbers. We cannot see your names. So feel free to vote here. There is nobody who can make out what is your view. So please give your independent free view. And no
Okay.
view is correct.
Yeah, let's go ahead, sir. Quickly to the next question.
Okay, ma'am, I'll read it for you. TB patient does not adhere to medication because of work duties. Now, here is a challenge. Okay. So how, he has got work. We have to set his priorities right. We have to teach him. We have to work on his mind. We have to convince him that medication is very important. We have to tell him to, maybe have a calendar, maybe set an alarm in the mobile. Maybe
Beautiful answers. Beautiful answers, sir.
absolutely. Maybe ask a friend to help. Maybe ask your wife or husband to help. Or maybe ask for a phone call. Here is,
Yeah, let's go to the last question, sir, in this poll.
wow, ma'am, you brought so many questions. Public health workforce is not trained to conduct contact tracing. Okay, so there is somebody who's not trained. We have to train them. This is what kind of a challenge? Is it simple? Go train them. Okay, very nice. I think Jaya ma'am, the DTOs have grasped that thing. Absolutely great.
Beautiful,
Absolutely.
sir. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you very much. Although we have overshot our time for this segment, I'm just going to take this opportunity to thank everybody everybody who made their contributions and all the participants here who've been so active. And can we just move ahead? The lessons that we learned here really is that we have technical, adaptive, or both kind of challenges. As we move ahead as leaders, we have to adapt. And if we don't adapt, we shall face consequences like the best of the industries died.
Change over the presentation, please. Come to diagnosing system.
Yeah. So how exactly do we, once assessing the issue and the problem, how do we go ahead and provide our own guidance? What are the diagnostic elements of change, behavioral change that we need to have within ourselves? I want to take a moment, sir, and invite Dr. Badiuddin here to give us a recap, very quick recap in like 4 points. Dr. Badiuddin, sir.
Yeah, good evening to all, ma'am.
Sir, very quick
sir,
recap दे दीजिए क्या हुआ हमारे.
Fine. Yes. Yes, ma'am. हमने अभी तक जो whatever course we are learning since beginning, हमने बहुत चीजें सीखी हैं, सीख रहे हैं. First, initially we learned regarding the team, what is a group, what is a team, what is the importance of teamwork. Then regarding manager and leadership के बारे में, what are the qualities of a manager and what are the qualities of leaders. Then changes को accept करने के लिए जो भी challenges आते हैं, तो वो challenges how we have to overcome that. For that, मतलब we learned even VUCA also. That is, VUCA means volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. And ये सभी चीजें how to मतलब overcome these challenges, we have to follow this VUCA also. इस तरह से भी अभी हम भी जो जा रहे हैं फ्रॉम RNTCP to NTP आ गया है, NTP भी हमारे लिए भी जो चैलेंजेस ये है, एवरीथिंग इज फिक्स्ड। फॉर एग्जांपल हमारे लिए टाइम बॉन्डिंग है, रिपोर्टिंग की न्यू सिस्टम है, रिसोर्सेज कम है, तो भी ये सब चेंजेस को ओवरकम करने के लिए हाउ वी हैव टू अडॉप्ट द चेंजेस, हम वो भी लर्न कर रहे हैं। थैंक यू।
सुपर्ब सुपर्ब सर। और हमने जो पिछले क्लास में एक छोटा सा और वो देखा था कि डिफरेंट काइंड्स ऑफ लीडरशिप ट्रेट्स होती हैं, कहीं अथॉरिटेटिव होना पड़ता है, कहीं सिचुएशन में ट्रांसफॉर्मेटिव लीडरशिप दिखाना पड़ता है, कहीं डिस्ट्रीब्यूटिव लीडरशिप। हमें भरोसा करना पड़ेगा कि हमारे आशा सुपरवाइजर हमसे बेहतर आशास को मोबिलाइज कर पाएंगे अगर एक्टिव केस फाइंडिंग है, या हमारे लैब टेक्नीशियंस ज्यादा बेहतर तरीके से अपने पीयर्स को पढ़ा सकेंगे कोई नया डायग्नोस्टिक टेक्निक है तो। So इस तरीके से we learnt about that. Today we are going to really go ahead, sir. Thank you so much, Dr. Badiuddin.
You are welcome.
You are always so inspiring and so full of energy. So I'm going to have this opportunity to just another recall कि हमने ये situational challenges के बारे में तो बात किया था. We will look at our own behavioral issues. What do we have to do to really get a grasp of the features that we need to build within ourselves and within our team. Moving on, let's do a more expanded zoomed version of what these adaptive leadership behaviors are going to be. And I can just read it out quickly. Get on the balcony, identify the adaptive challenge, which we dealt with, regulate distress. Team को थोड़ा सा टेंशन तो होगा ही अगर टाइम प्रेशर देंगे तो. Maintain discipline, give the work back to the people, क्योंकि PB तो सिर्फ एक DTO से तो नहीं खत्म होने वाला है, तो we need our team to work together and celebrate the voices from below. सबकी सुने और सबको प्रोत्साहित करें. So this is the crux of what we are going to talk about in the next 10 odd minutes. I'd like to really bring forth that diagnosis का तो हमने अभी सीखा ही पिछले आधे घंटे में पौने घंटे में कि हमें सिचुएशन के चैलेंजेस को परखना समझना बहुत जरूरी है. We have to understand what are the dynamics, what are the kinds of problems that our team faces, and how must we respond to them. So if we want to know that in a little bit more detail, if we go on to the next slide, we will come to what is the first step we need to do. We need to get on the balcony, it says. At this point, I'd like to really invite Dr. Nitin, our DTO. Is Dr. Nitin with us? Is Dr. Nitin?
Okay, we may go ahead. We'll call him later.
Okay, fine. So as a leader, what are we expected to do? We are expected to step back a little, understand if the issues and challenges are within our teams. Are they structural? Are there any orders or protocols or SOPs that are not in place or are not in practice? Are there some issues that we need to understand which are cultural? We need to look at that. So to get on the balcony means take a step back. As a leader, if we get into a team meeting, सब लोग सोचते हैं बॉस आ गया अब हमें कुछ नहीं बोलना है. So as a DTO, it's a good advice for us to step back, be an observer, just see what all is happening and how do we move on from here. And if we get the hang of this, we will be able to convene very, very comfortable updates and meetings, monthly meetings that we conduct on a regular basis. Can we move on? तो ये structures वाला क्या है, culture क्या है, default क्या है? Default is, Raman sir, default I say is preconceived notion. अगर कोई बोले कि ये काम ऐसा नहीं हो सकता तो नहीं हो सकता. It's a preconceived notion, sir. It's a kind of a mindset which is hard to change.
Okay, ma'am.
ऐसा ही होता आ रहा है, ऐसा ही होगा.
You know, ma'am, I have been in the armed forces, and we have some very, very experienced, very, very senior, very, very mature junior commissioned officers. You know, they are not officers, but they are the junior commissioned officers. They are a plethora of experience.
Absolutely.
But they are so rigidly seeped into the drill, into the older system, that sometimes it becomes very difficult for us to convince them, to convert them, to influence them, because the default mechanism is कि ये तो साहब ऐसे ही होगा.
Exactly, sir. Exactly. तो मैं इसी को थोड़ा सा बड़े क्विकली एक दर्शाते हुए ले जाऊंगी सर. Just next 5-6 slides में.
बिल्कुल मैम, बिल्कुल.
फॉर्मल स्ट्रक्चर्स को जब करते हैं, प्रोटोकॉल्स, सारे कम्युनिकेशन, सब कुछ हमने एक प्रोसीजर के हिसाब से काम करना होता है, ड्रिल के साथ. पर मैं इसी मोमेंट पे मैं 1 मिनट के लिए रवि सर को बुलाऊंगी और पूछूंगी, सर ये फॉर्मल स्ट्रक्चर्स जो ऑपरेशनल थी, इस दौरान क्या आपने अपने स्टाफ से क्या है प्रॉब्लम कुछ सुना? डॉक्टर रवि.
त्या ठिकाणी स्क्रीनिंग करत असताना एलसीडी वर फोकस करायचा आहे. हायपरटेन्शन, डायबिटीज, ओरल कॅन्सर, 3 टाइप्स ऑफ कॅन्सर आपण म्हणतो, पण याच्यामध्ये मेल असल्यामुळे
नितिन सर.
So we have
Nitin, Dr. Nitin is here. Yeah.
हाँ, Dr. Nitin, please share, sir. What is it about being in the balcony? Yeah, get on the balcony. ये क्या है सर, आपको क्या अनुभव है अपने टीम के साथ?
एक्चुअली मैम जो अनएक्सप्लोर्ड एरिया है या हम जो चीज नहीं देख पा रहे हैं उसको एक्सप्लोर करना है इसमें.
हाँ सर.
एंड जस्ट ट्राई टू ग्रैब द अपॉर्चुनिटीज, जो भी हम अपॉर्चुनिटीज ग्रैब कर सकेंगे या जो शायद अनएक्सप्लोर्ड हुआ है, जो हमने कभी देखा ही नहीं है, जो हमने कभी ट्राई नहीं किया, या जो अनटैप्ड एरिया है, ऐसे एरिया को हम लोग देख सकते हैं. मतलब अंडर द स्काई एनीथिंग व्हिच हैज नॉट बीन ट्राइड.
हाँ, तो एज अ डीटीओ अपने टीम मीटिंग्स में जब आप गेट ऑन द बालकनी वाला लेते हैं तो आप क्या करते हैं सर? ऑब्जर्व करते हैं, लोगों को बोलने देते हैं, कंफर्टेबल बनाते हैं, क्या करते हैं सर?
हाँ मैम, मतलब मैं कोशिश करता हूँ उनको कि मतलब जो भी उनके प्रॉब्लम्स है तो उस प्रॉब्लम को हम कुछ और एक तरीके से सॉल्यूशन कैसे दे पाएंगे, मतलब बेसिकली उनका प्रॉब्लम जो है वो सॉल्व कैसे कर पाएंगे, ये ज्यादा करके हम सोचते हैं. मतलब व्हाट आर द ईज, जहाँ पे हमारा इंटरवेंशन लगता है या हमारे सीनियर्स का लगता है. अगर हमसे भी नहीं हो पाए तो अगर कभी लगता है कि डीएचओज है या कलेक्टर्स है या सीईओज है, इनका अगर इंटरवेंशन लगता है तो हम मतलब बीइंग एन टीम लीडर फिर हम लोग बोलते हैं कि ठीक है हम आपके साथ रहेंगे, हम वो दूसरे डिपार्टमेंट में हेल्प कर पाएंगे. ऐसे.
Superb. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Sir, let's move on. Yeah, and move a little ahead. Yeah. ये अगर हम कोई रिचुअल की बात करें, ये फोटो में एक बहुत very beautiful photo. If you can see, this is a picture from the Northeast, where you can see that the patients have removed their footwear outside. And मैं केरला को बिलोंग करती हूँ और हमारे यहाँ भी ये प्रैक्टिस है. मैंने आंध्र प्रदेश, तेलंगाना में भी ये देखा है कि जब हम हॉस्पिटल्स, डॉक्टर्स को विजिट करने वगैरह जाते हैं तो हम जूता चप्पल बाहर रखते हैं. दिस वी डोंट कल्चरली एक्सपेक्ट इट फ्रॉम समबडी इन नॉर्थ इंडिया. नाउ दिस इज समथिंग दैट बिकम्स norm for these kind of practice. Good hygiene है ना सर, तो ऐसे कम्युनिटी को हमें मोबिलाइज करना, गुड हाइजीन प्रैक्टिसेस को लाना और नए रिचुअल्स को लाना बहुत आसान है. तो ये अगर हम समझें अपने टीम के डायनामिक्स को, ये नुआंस्ड अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, तो हमें बहुत इजीली हमारे टीम के साथ बर्ताव करना समझ में आ जाएगा. अगर थोड़ा और आगे जाएं तो ये कोविड के टाइम में, if we go on to this, beautiful slide. How many of you find that this was something that we used to see often on TV? कि भैया हैंडशेक छोड़ो, हग्स छोड़ो, हाई फाइव छोड़ो और नए तरीके से लोगों से मिलना जुलना करो. So in group norms and meeting protocols, we changed. We didn't no longer shaking hands, and when we met our best friends, hugged each other. तो ये एक नया नॉर्म कैसे हमने अडॉप्ट किया? Because we thought that we have to understand that group dynamics changes with new understanding and new ways of behaving. So if we are looking at an elimination strategy, अगर हम परिवार के अंदर किसी एक पेशेंट को देखते हैं तो हम सोचते हैं कि हाँ, प्रिजम्पटिव टीबी एग्जामिनेशन होनी चाहिए और प्रिजम्पटिव मेडिकेशन भी होनी चाहिए. सो इस तरीके से हमारा strategy change होता है because we understand these norms and cultural practices. Can we just move ahead, please? और हमें, जैसे रमन सर ने बोला, we've always done it this way. यही हमारा तरीका है. तो इसमें अगर हमें शिफ्ट लाना है तो हमें इस ग्रुप ऑफ पीपल के डिफॉल्ट मैकेनिज्म्स और डिफॉल्ट लैंग्वेज को भी समझना होगा, और अगर वो कंफर्टेबल हैं तो उनको थोड़ा सा जब हम चैलेंज देते हैं वो अनकंफर्टेबल होंगे, इसको भी समझ के चलना होगा. सो दीज आर सम ऑफ our own dynamics of understanding the behavior of our team. Moving ahead, and I'm sorry, I'm just overshooting it by a couple of minutes. ये मैं एक लीडरशिप का ट्रेट बताती हूँ. मोस्टली हम लोग देखते हैं कि जो विनिंग टीम है वो विनर्स की ही फोटो मीडिया में छपती है, पर ये छोटा सा बहुत रेयर पिक्चर जो मैंने नीचे लगाया है वो है कि हमें भूलना नहीं है कि हमारे टीम मेंबर्स सब कष्ट झेलते हैं, सब फेस करते हैं और मुश्किल में हमें बचाते हैं, कवर्स लगाते हैं. लाइक इन दिस फील्ड यू कैन सी दैट दिस इज आवर सेलिब्रेशन ऑफ आवर टीम, जो अनसीन अनहर्ड नहीं रखना है हमारे टीम मेंबर्स को. रिमेंबर दैट यू आर नॉट अलोन, यू आर पार्ट ऑफ अ कोलैबोरेटिव टीम, a diverse team, and this is how we have to be. Can I just move ahead, please? तो ये मालूम है ना, जब भी हम करेंगे, जैसे वो सडनली बारिश आ गया तो हमारे टीम मेंबर्स क्रिकेट मैच देख रहे थे, एक तरफ दूसरी तरफ दौड़ के उसको कवर्स लगाने के लिए गए, तो डिस्ट्रेस होगा, तो वी हैव टू एनकरेज देम. एंड गोइंग अहेड वी हैव टू येट मेंटेन डिसिप्लिन. हमें देखना है कि पीपल आर ऑन ट्रैक. अगर कोई मेरे घर में बीमार है, मेरा बच्चों का एग्जाम है, ये है वो है करके अपना काम नहीं पूरा करे, sometimes we have to use all what we say साम दाम दंड भेद, सबको यूज करना पड़ेगा to maintain discipline. Sometimes we have to encourage them and sometimes we have to help them confront their problems.
So what we have to understand here, and if you can come to the last slide and stop sharing, Anshu.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you are there, ma'am? Okay. So anyway, ma'am, we have reached the...
We have overshot, sir. We have overshot. I'm sorry.
No, perfectly fine. You made the points. I think we have actually very well shared the story. Is there anything else, ma'am, you would have then? Because I think Dr. Ravi Chandran wanted to say something.
Yes, sir. In fact, I had wanted him to talk about how he used his own team's feedback of the online courses that he conducted, and what is that lesson?
So DTOs, we have actually come to the end of our session. We had borrowed only 1 hour from you. We are on extended breadth and extended life cycle right now, right? Bonus points, as they say. So we will have just some 2 more minutes of discussion. I will request you to stay with us. However, if some of you have made some prior commitments, if you go, we will not miss you, but I will want you to stay. So Dr. Ravi, may I request you to share your views on what you had in mind?
Yeah, so it is very interesting that we adapted to virtual training methodology, and the LTs actually, they had learned, the feedback was very encouraging. So actually, I was also one of the persons who was resistant to change. So the traditional method of physical meeting was very good and we could not do anything. All that murmuring was there inside. But somehow after seeing the laboratory people, the LTs getting trained virtually, I was also encouraged. Other thing that I wanted to share was, even the programs globally, they were not ready to accept the MDR treatment. MDR patients were left alone without care. You know that in 1986, when Professor Kleber from South Africa gave us the insight of MDR, the Professor Jim Kim and Paul Farmer were 2 warriors who were trying to convince the TB people globally to adopt and try to care for TB care. They were not ready. DSTB, yes, globally the program was taking care. But MDR TB, it was hesitant to take care. Of course, later, globally everyone, they showed, both of them, they showed the way and we could adopt, and globally everyone started caring for DRTB. This is another example I just wanted to share.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And just to add, sir, Commodore Raman, I'll just add one more sentence here, that this program that we are co-delivering with NTI faculty along with us is a classical example of how we are transitioning and embedding this as an institutional adaptation by NTI in times to come, sir. And over to you, Raman, sir,
Absolutely,
for the
Dr.
final
Jay.
words.
Absolutely. Dr. Vineet Chadha, you have any last thing to share, or shall I proceed and close?
I'll just say that all DTOs, all of us in the TB world, we have to be proactive all the time, because TB program is always evolving, and the influence in the sphere of influence wherever we have to facilitate change and adopt to new things and new challenges. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Vineet. So DTOs, may I request you to switch on your videos, give you a smile, and while we are doing so, I will give you one last minute thing. One, I wanted to showcase something, but then maybe I will keep it for the next time. One of our DTOs really adapted to the change. This is Dr. Jay Kumari from DTO Raigad. She realized that, the notification from the private sector was not coming. DTO, switch on your videos. Please give a smile. We are taking the photographs. I'm closing now. So she realized that, the notification from the private sector was not coming. Okay. So taking a very positive view, she just got a letter written from the, and it was not happening from the pharmacies actually. The form H, if I'm not mistaken, that was not, regulation was not being fulfilled. So she just got a letter written. What I will do is, I will request my QICs to share two things right now with you. One is to share the government gazette notification, which makes TB a notifiable disease. We all know it is there, but some of us may have lost it. So we will make sure it is there back in your WhatsApp. If you may like to share it with your WhatsApp group of the private practitioners, it will help you. Also, there was a letter she got made from the assistant drug controller, okay, which also tells all the pharmacies that if at all you're selling a drug, you're supposed to notify to your nearest DTC. We will share both the regulations with you. Today, we will share the Gazette notification, and in subsequent days, we will, Gazette notification has both the regulations are there together, to the private practitioners also and to the pharmacies also. So with this, thank you, DTOs. Thank you so much. And thank you, Jaya ma'am, for, a wonderful journey, crisscrossing, and, introducing adaptive leadership to us. Thank you, Dr. Ravi. Thank you, Dr. Vineet. Thank you, wonderful DTOs. All it remains for me, I think Dr. Manoj may not be here, to thank the Government of India, Central TB Division, USAID, the Union, NTI, all my wonderful QICs, the staff, IT consultant, and you wonderful DTOs.
And the alumni DTOs, sir.
And our alumni DTOs, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Most importantly, sir, before you close, sir, is there any technical announcement for the face-to-face meeting? If you want to give 1 minute of that, sir, even if before you close.
Sharvari, are you going to curse us after we close the session, or you want to speak now? Okay, so we are meeting DTOs in person on 5th and 6th of October. Please share your travel details to the staff. The venue is Pune. The staff will share with you the exact details and venue and other things. Yes, Dr. Manish, I have read your message. We are aware. We will see what best can be done. But as of now, the event is there, happening. So let us see. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Pooja. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, Pooja, go ahead. Go ahead. You want to say something?
Yes.
Oh, that's it?
No, sir, that's it.
That's it. Okay. Okay. So, Hotel 4 Points by Sheraton Hotel is the venue. I was being slightly careful. Should I open my mouth or not? But since Pooja has shared it on the screen, she has let the cat out of the bag. I am sharing it with all. This is our venue. We'll meet here. And all those who are thinking that we are going to have studies there, no. We are going to have all masti and fun. Okay? Total masti and fun. Okay.
Thank you, Raman sir, for leading us in this very beautiful journey. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
To
Thank
you
you
and
all
to
faculty.
Dr. Manoj.
Thank you.
Dr.
Thank you, sir.
Chadda, to Ravi sir, to everyone,
Thank
to
you.
all my QICs.
Thank you.
To all the faculty DTOs who chipped in, to all the participating DTOs of this batch. Absolutely awesome. Thank you. Pranam.
Thank you.